Welcome back to Your Best Bets. Recording this on a Tuesday evening in November, talking about golf. We have the Hero World Challenge this week. We're not going to talk about that tonight. Unfortunately, we just found out today Tiger Woods is not playing in that tournament, but hopefully we'll get to see him with his kid coming up at the PNC Championship. So not a lot going on in the golf world unless we wanted to do a full lively debate about Live versus PGA Tour, but still want to hold off on that one for now. And we're going to do something a little different with this one tonight. So before we talk about that, I want to bring in our guest, Dave Belleville, who has not been on in quite a while, maybe since summer or something like that.
A while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So Dave, welcome back. Of course, everyone knows Dave from the Golf Garage. Dave, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Running a little late this evening, so thank you, gentlemen, for waiting. But yeah, very busy. A lot of things going on at the garage. Got the fall leagues just kind of finishing up. We got the last 4 weeks of that, and then next week we'll start taking signups for the Winter League, which will start the first week of January. And then a new thing coming up just kind of came about. We're going to have an indoor, similar to a Ryder Cup, can't call it Ryder Cup, but Golf Garage versus Touche Golf. So looking forward to that. And Eric and I have been talking a little bit back and forth, trying to set up the format and everything. And yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So is that like a true USA versus Europe where you guys are just rivals? Or
No. Those guys do a good job over there. I don't know Eric real well, but he's been very kind to us. And I know a lot of the people that play over there. So no, it's just going to be a good, friendly, we beat them or they beat us, one or the other. So no, it'll be good.
I mean, I wanted you to promote it in like a juicy way where if it was like a tiebreaker, it was you and Eric actually like physically like wrestling or I don't know, boxing or something.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I'm too old for that. Maybe we'll do like, if it's tied, maybe we'll do like a closest to the pin from 100 yards or something, which he'd probably still win that. I haven't touched a club for a while. So
nice. And I'm sure follow Golf Garage and Touche Golf on Facebook and social to find out details of that as it gets closer.
Yeah.
Third wheel tonight. Not really ever the third wheel, but tonight we'll just call him the third wheel. Johnny Strouser is back. Johnny, how are you?
It's a tough time of year here when the weather just turns and we know that we're locked in for 6 months of this cold weather garbage. So good to talk about some golf here. We've had some good football, a good football season in the NFL and college, and saw the World Cup, the U.S. winning and advancing today, which was that's probably the most excited I've actually been watching any game.
Yes.
In this calendar year, at least in the last couple of years. So other than that, was hoping to watch Tiger this weekend, but not to be, but it'll still be a fun event and looking forward to discussing a little bit of golf and the majors and everything like that for the 2023 season.
I don't think we've actually talked about golf on the pod since the Tour Championship back in late August, something like that. So yeah, it's been a second actually talking about golf on the podcast. We've talked about some NBA. Zach and I talked about quarterbacks last week, and that was kind of fun to get into that. So good to get back into golf. Obviously the season's ended, at least the first part of the fall season's ended. So we have a gap here until we get to Hawaii, which is always kind of fun, nice in January when it's snowing here and it's super cold, that you have something to look forward to. Something that I was thinking of the last couple of weeks is we got to start talking about the 2023 majors, because it's never too early to actually talk about major golf tournaments. And essentially right now, those feel even bigger than they've ever felt before because of the PGA Tour and Live divide. We used to have the majors and then, maybe WGCs and some of the elevated events where the best fields would get together. But now truly the best fields are only going to get together 4 times a year. And who knows how long that'll last with, some of the world ranking stuff. And as these Live guys, their world ranking drops, who knows how much longer some of these guys will actually be eligible for majors, the non-Cam Smiths, the non-Dustin Johnsons. So to me, it feels like the 2023 majors are even bigger than before. Am I onto something there, Johnny?
Yeah, I think you are, because you last year was just, it was very tumultuous with how angry it seemed each side was getting, and it didn't, it felt like pre-tournament, at least a lot of it was more of a circus, and it didn't allow these players to prepare and everything like that. And then you look at it, I think it was a big shock to especially the live players, not getting the competitive reps like we'd always talked about all season long, and not playing, much of it there. The season, I think I think the live season's doubling in the amount of events, so they're going to get a little bit more of a regular schedule as far as consistency of when they play. So, you could look at it that this could be, even though they're not going to earn the world ranking points as of now to still qualify for the major championships, a lot of them that are still in it should be probably will perform better. Not only with the media aspect will have calmed down from the 2022 season, but they're just going to play golf more overall, which, as you guys know, the more you play and the more reps you get, especially the competition, the more sharp you're going to be. So I think this is going to be a big year. I think it's going to be a fun year because it kind of brings those guys who were kind of irrelevant last year on the live tour. It's going to bring them back into it. And I think it's going to make the season pretty fun to watch.
Dave, anything to add on to that?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think you're right, Johnny, in the fact, what you're saying as far as the live and how vitriolic that it was originally. But I also think if you've been paying much attention to it, which I'm sure you have, the tone's kind of shifted a little bit from not so much of a hatred type thing as now they're just wanting Norman to get out so that they can then create some sort of compromise per se. So the majors this coming season I think are going to be a big deal, but I also will predict that by the 2024 season there will be some sort of compromise between the live and the PGA Tour going forward. Also remember though, gents, this is a Ryder Cup year, the second of a Ryder Cup year that points are doubled. Guys are going to be trying to make the Ryder Cup teams, that type of thing. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting and fun season, I think.
Great point. Love the Ryder Cup years. And this one, and Johnny and I have kind of alluded to it, some of the golf podcasts, so anticipated after the dominant effort in Whistling Straits, and can they win a road game for the first time in 30 years. So can't wait to talk about the Ryder Cup all of next season. Yeah, and actually Tiger today in his presser talking a little bit about the live situation. I learned, plantar fasciitis. He's going to play the majors next year, and he hates Greg Norman sounds like pretty solidly. So he's pushing for Norman to get out. It seems like things are headed that way. Who knows how long that'll actually, before long, how long that'll actually take place. So we're here tonight to talk about the 2023 majors, but also we're going to do a snake draft of players we want to select, and we're going to do a little competition. Small stakes, but we're each going to select 4 players. If anyone does fantasy football drafts, you're familiar with snake drafts. Some of you maybe do an auction. I'm in a league where people are resistant to an auction, so I've done a snake draft. I've especially terrible at fantasy football, especially recently. Johnny's familiar with that. Johnny has retired from fantasy. Dave, are you in a fantasy league?
I retired about 3 years ago, actually.
I think that's a smart thing to do because they're maddening. The fantasy football is maddening.
When it first started, it was very enjoyable. But when it got to the point that all I really cared about was who was playing and what my matchups were, and then you have to do it every single Sunday. Well, now they play on Thursdays too, so you got to do it Wednesday night. It got to be too much. I'm just like, you know what? I just want to enjoy football again.
Yeah. It definitely changes the way you watch football, which unfortunately betting has done that as well.
Exactly.
So all 3 of us will select 4 players, snake draft style. The order will be me, Dave, and then Johnny. So Johnny will get pick 3 and 4, and we'll reverse back. Before we get into the draft, The 2023 major venues, of course, we have the Masters, which always played at Augusta National. The PGA is at Oak Hill up in New York. Last time it was there was 2013, the Duffner year when he won over Furyk. US Open, the one that I think I'm most excited about is at LA Country Club. It's the Gil Hance renovation from 2015. They played the 2017 Walker Cup there. It just looked fantastic on TV. I love West Coast US Opens for television, primetime viewing. So I really love the whole thing. I think the last time we had a primetime US Open was the Woodland 2019 US Open. So can't wait for that one. And then we'll end at the Open at Liverpool. Rory's dominant win there in 2014, and of course going back to 06 when Tiger famously won just by hitting a shit ton of irons off the tee and still winning going away. Johnny, your thoughts on any of the venues? Some of them excited about these four, or I guess these three specifically.
I'm extremely, and I'm actually excited to see Augusta National because I think in the last 15 to 20 years they've made a lot of changes to that golf course. And I don't know if you follow. I don't know. No Laying Up will retweet a lot of Eureka Earth's tweets, but that guy seems to post pictures all the time.
Yeah.
They bought the property behind the 13th tee finally, and moved the tee back. It looks like it's another 50, 60 yards at least. So it looks like you're going to have to hit a driver. You're going to have to hit a hard driver if you go down the left side on that dogleg left par 5 just to get it past the trees, or you've got to hit something out to the right and where it makes it more of a 3-shot hole. So, I mean, yeah, we always look forward to the Masters, but I think that's going to be especially a very fascinating change. And I know they've made changes in the past, and some of them have been significant, some of them haven't. But I think this one's going to be a really, really big change, and it's going to make a difference in that hole, on a very pivotal hole on the back 9 at Augusta National. But I think the crown jewel of the one that we as golf fans should be interested in is LA Country Club. That's the main one there in Los Angeles, and they've tried to have major championships there before, and I think they had them back in the LA Opens back in like the 1920s and 30s. I think the last professional event they had there was the 1940 LA Open. But they've always tried to get on that course. It's been very exclusive. It still is, but the members are very, very reluctant to give the golf course up for any kind of public display or anything like that. So finally, years ago, they named the North Course as the US Open site for this next year here. And I think that'll be pretty neat. They had, like you said, they had Gil Hance that came in and redid it and kind of brought the course back to what it was back in the 20s when George Thomas first designed it. So it'll be an interesting challenge. It looks amazing when we watch the Walker Cup there. I'll Google Earth it from time to time at work, or I'll do some research on it. There's not much you can get on it, but it's definitely a neat place, and I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys do. But Oak Hill's always a good one as well. That's had a lot of recent events there. I remember back in the Ryder Cup when the U.S. was leading, and that was the one where Nick Faldo played in it, and Curtis Strange had to have one of the last, I think, 4 holes of his singles match. So that's where I remember it. I remember that, and I remember Azinger versus Seve Ballesteros and the gamesmanship thing going on at that place. That was always that was a memorable Ryder Cup for me. Yeah. And then Hoylake is going to be a fun one. It's Rory's place, and it just feels like it could be set up for for a lot of birdies if it gets hot and fast like it did back when Tiger played it. And then it's a good layout, good classic one, and it should be the culmination of what's hopefully going to be one of the best major seasons ever.
Yeah. Dave, rank the 4 majors. What's your favorite to your least favorite?
Okay, I'm glad you put some perspective to it. Favorite is always the Masters. Boy, that's hard. Least favorite, man, over the course of my lifetime, at least, I would say the PGA Championship.
It's consistent. Yeah.
US Open, and then the Open Championship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with Johnny. That change they made on 13, which is the tail end of Amen Corner. I don't know if either of you have been there or not, but those guys for the last, I don't know how many years, pretty much everybody's hit 3-wood off that tee. And that's really not going to be an option now because of how far they've been able to move that back. And the layout of that land, there's no real good layup spot on that. It's on a huge downslope for your layup for your second shot. You're hitting into this tiny green, trying to spin the ball. I mean, it's going to play totally different going forward. So yeah, that part will be very interesting. LA Country Club, I know nothing about it. I'll be very eager to kind of see what it's all about, but it's also at the same point in time, sorry, I keep getting something in my eye. It's also the US Open. So the rough's going to be up, greens are going to be fast. So, I mean, it's going to play pretty standard, I'm sure. And then Royal Liverpool, again, it's going to depend on the weather. If you get really hard, hot, dry weather, I could see somebody else doing similar to what Tiger did. You won't even really need a driver that much. But if it's windy, cold, and wet, it's a whole different golf course as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
LA Country Club, from what I've read about it, it's a little bit wider driving than most US Opens. So the last few years we've seen a lot of the similar type of guys win the US Open. DJ Brooks, Bryson, long off the tee, but they're good playing out of the rough. I wonder if now it opens up the field a little bit with maybe wider fairways, if maybe it brings some of the shorter guys back into play. I don't know, we'll see. I can't wait to see that golf course. Yeah, so let's talk about the players here. I have pick number 1. When I thought about this today, I think I only have really 2 guys in mind that this came down to that I could pick with the top pick. One arguably had the best 2022 and maybe the best complete year of his career, just consistency wise. And then the other guy I think is primed for a second major win. So I think I'd be crazy not to take Rory McIlroy. Face of the PGA Tour right now. Obviously hasn't won a major since 2014. I think both of these things could be true. He should be the clear-cut favorite to win a major in 2023. However, my thought is if he doesn't win one next year, then when is he going to win one again? Because he top 10 at all 4 majors in 22. Arguably should have won the Open when Cam Smith really just kind of outraced him in the back 9. He was in it at the US Open. He was in semi-contention at the PGA, and we know what he did the last day at the Masters. He really wasn't in it, but he had a nice backdoor second place to Scotty. I just think Rory is primed to win a major in 2023. You look at the venues, he plays Augusta so well, and who knows if he'll ever truly win there, but he's been so close. I don't see any reason why LA Country Club wouldn't set up well for him. And you could argue Oak Hill's maybe not a perfect setup, but I think Rory's come to the point where he's course proof. I mean, he can go anywhere and win. And of course, the last time the Open was at Liverpool, he won. So Rory McIlroy is the top pick in the draft. Your guys' thoughts?
It's hard to. It's hard
Can't
to
argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be, he's taking the face of, he's the new person on the PGA Tour here as far as the leadership role, as far as the interviews and everything, and now he's got the game to back it up. And I think finally we're seeing, after a couple years of trying to hit the ball further and being more numbers oriented as far as what he sees on the track, man. He understands that he's got the best overall top to bottom game, and his putting his putting wasn't elite this year, but it was good for the most part. And yeah, he should have won at St. Andrews this year. And I think every single major he's got a good chance at, just because of the way he drives the ball, and if he's just feeling it with the putter there. And, a lot of times, he'd have that one like 16-hole stretch, 18-hole stretch, 20-hole stretch where he'd be 5 shots worse than the leaders, or more than that, and then he'd have to play catch up and just kind of freewheel it. And I think that Open Championship, that just was kind of a freak thing. Should have won that. It was in total control, and just kind of got beat. And I see him learning from that, and definitely applying it here in 23.
And I think the main part of his game that really improved from not only early in the season in 2022, but from a few years ago is his iron game, and especially from 100 to 125, his proximity improved so much. And I trust him now. I mean, we always trusted him to bomb drives, but we'd always be disappointed. He'd hit a 110-yard wedge to 35 feet and essentially take himself out of a birdie chance. Now he's hitting to 10, 12, 14 feet, and he's a good enough putter where he's going to make his fair share. So Rory McIlroy, I think he's going to win a major. I think he's going to win number 5 at one of these next year. I'm not sure which, but I think it's got to happen next year. Dave Belleville with the second pick.
Okay. And my apologies. I guess I kind of thought we were going to pick 4 for each major, so I got to reshuffle here a little bit. Excuse me.
And Dave, I'm sorry if the directions weren't laid out.
All good, man. All good. Wow. Definitely changes my thought here for a little bit, though. I'm actually gonna go with Will Zalatoris.
Oh wow.
He can't.
Wow. I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
He cannot keep coming as close as he has for the last 2 years without winning. So he will win a major this year.
I like the pick. I am surprised you took him over a couple guys for sure.
Yep.
Zalatoris is he's had 3 runners up already, or 4 in his
yes, I think 3, but then also a top 10 or 2 besides that. So yeah.
2 seconds last year, and
the biggest reasoning for me, honestly, Oak Hill and LA Country Club are a shot maker's golf course. You've got to be able to control your golf ball, with Curtis Strange having won at Oak Hill before. Duffner won there. Also, they're just really good, strong ball strikers. So that was my biggest reasoning for that. He's had a good track record at the Masters the last few years. So I just think there's a couple tracks that really set up well for him this year.
I'm on board. 10 starts in major championships, 3 runners up, and 6 top 10s already. Pretty incredible start to his major career. Johnny Strouser with the 3rd pick and the 4th pick, and it is wide open for you.
I was comfortably gonna write in Will Zalatoris as the 4th overall pick here, or maybe 3rd, I don't know, but like I've always talked about him. I talked about him before, all the majors there. He's kind of your Brooks Koepka. He's your big game hunter. He's not gonna win 20, 25 times. He's not gonna win 15 times, but he could end up winning potentially, multiple major championships. So I think that's just kind of what you're gonna get out of him. And with him finally winning at in the playoff event there, I think it was setting up prime for him to win a major championship this season. So that was a good pick there.
With that, what are they going to say about me now?
What are they going to say about me now? Exactly. So with that being said, now that I've got to reshuffle this.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. If John Rahm's sitting out there, and I said, you know what, if he's there by the 3rd pick, if either you two didn't get it, because I kind of was wondering if he would go number 2. I got to pick John Rahm. I mean, he's just that good. And, you know, he putted poorly to, I guess, to his standards from the 20 and 2021 seasons. So he kind of, you know, he putted okay. I think he still won. How many times? He won a few times, I think, between all the tours there. He still had a pretty good season there, but you know, he's just one of those guys that you can't keep him down for too long. And as he works through that, he's just too good. He's just too good of a driver of the golf ball. He's got too good of a short game. He's unreal with the irons. I mean, he'll fit in and be able to play kind of anywhere. You know, I don't love him in the Masters, but he's just that good where he might be just better than everybody to win the Masters. So I see that. But, you know, as good as he is, he could be good at Oak Hill and then um at LA Country Club. Because you got to be a good iron player to win, I think, to win at LA Country Club. So he fits that. And then I think he's going to end up winning. He's going to get an Open Championship at some point. And again, we're all, you never know with the weather. But with John Rahm, though, you could feel pretty comfortable that he could finish top 5 or top 10 in most every event he plays in. So I'll take him for my number 3. The other guy I'm going to pick. Oh man, this is.
Can I talk about Rahm real quick?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Masters. It's actually been his most consistent major. He's had 4 top 10s in the last 5 starts. The U.S. Open, we know that he won obviously at Torrey, but the Masters kind of feels like a possibility. He's been really spicy in the media the last couple months. A lot of takes on the world golf rankings, a lot of takes on the PGA Tour. Not always positive. He's kind of thrown some guys under the bus that he's not one of the leading voices of the tour. And he's kind of alluded to Rory and JT. So I feel like he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and John Rahm with a chip on his shoulder might be scary in the majors in 2023. So that was who I considered at number 1 as well.
Yeah, it's just about managing that. If he can manage those frustrations and that, when he gets kind of irked like that, which he does for the most part. I think he gets more of a bad rap for some of those on-course blow-ups anyways.
Now, I will say, I was at the Memorial last year when he almost killed a person. He threw a club and it almost hit one of the ladies with.
Oh, the standard bearer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was irate, and so yeah, he almost murdered someone. I think it was the 3rd hole of the Memorial last year, but yeah, that's.
I mean, look, if you're that upset, I get it. So there's some good choices here. I got at 4 here, though. I mean, I could go a bunch of different ways here. I'm gonna go. I should go with the 1, and once you guys pick them, no, we're gonna have to do it. I have to go Justin Thomas. I don't know if he'll win a major this year. I really don't. But again, if we're picking for all 4 major championships and collectively the best finishes, as long as he doesn't wake up on a Thursday at Augusta, where he's like, I don't feel it this morning, and shoots 76 or whatever the hell he shot.
Yeah.
But I mean, his game obviously, just translates everywhere, and we don't need to reiterate that because it's the same thing as John Rahm and Rory McIlroy, and he's a top 5 player easily, and I think I don't mind him at any of the major championships. It'll be nice. 2 PGAs is wonderful. I'm not going to be critical of that, but hopefully we'll see him win. Branch out and win over the next 10 years, win some different types of major championships as well, just to see what his game can bring and to show that he could win in that type of golf course, but he could win in the U.S. Open, and he could win with the fast greens at Augusta National.
Justin Thomas with 28 major starts. Wikipedia is a great resource for this kind of thing, but only 7 top 10s. I guess it's not terrible, but you would expect better from JT. That's basically 1 out of every 4 he's finished in the top 10. He's only had, 4 top tens the last 3 years when he's been truly an elite player. But he did win at the PGA. He made some amazing clutch swings down the stretch there in the playoff against Zalatoris. I'd like to see him compete outside of the PGA. I'd like to see him show up at a Masters and be ready to play on a Thursday. But I do love JT. Sitting at 2 majors, I think I don't see how he doesn't get to like at least 4 majors in his career. I mean, we'll have to do a new over/under podcast.
That'll be.
We did one last year, but I feel like we gotta do one a year because things change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think we set JT at like 2.5 before the PGA last year. Now I would say it's got to be 3.5, and I don't know how he doesn't get to 4 because he's such a good iron player. I mean, we know he's one of the 3 or 4 best iron players on tour, but that putter, man, it gets ice cold, and you can see the frustration build in him. But when he's on, he is incredibly tough to beat. Dave, coming back to you for pick number 5.
Yeah. To me, it's pretty simple. Scotty Scheffler. I'm just kind of looking some of the strokes gained total and the strokes gains approach. By the way, you're talking about JT's iron game. He was number 8 in strokes gained approach to the green last year. Scotty Scheffler strokes gained total is number 5. And kind of like we talked about, he's kind of got the all-round game. I don't know that he's absolutely fantastic at any one specific metric, but man, he's just good at all of them. So I'll take Scotty Scheffler off the board.
Scotty Scheffler's good at golf. In his short professional career, his major record is pretty incredible. 11 major starts as a professional. We're talking about 6 top 10s, 8 top 20s. So yeah, when he's not even playing that great, he's finishing in the top 20. The US Open last year, following up the Masters win, to me was as impressive as the Masters win because
Agreed.
That just showed to me like, okay, he's still motivated. He's going to be around a lot of these because, like you said, he just doesn't have any real weaknesses. You trust him to make putts most of the time. He had some putting issues at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But a first and a second last year in majors is pretty damn good. Johnny, anything to add on Scotty?
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked him for this game. Just I still don't trust him with the putter. And I know he switched putters. He went from an Anser style to a mallet putter, and he's a guy that will not switch until he's just done with a club, and he won't switch unless he's totally confident that one's going to be better. But it's hard because in that stretch where he won seemingly every single week, you compare it, at some point you're going to cool off. I mean, you're just, it's not going to last an entire season, and obviously it didn't, but he seemed to revert back to a lot of that those same missed putts that he was missing just 2 years ago or a year ago. And that gives me concern. Now in this game, where we're picking high finishes, he just talent wise, he's off the charts good. So, for that, but if we're looking at his ceiling of winning a major this season, again, backing it up after winning at Augusta, it's just something I don't personally feel comfortable with. Just because, those greens like at LA Country Club they're a little slopey and everything. And yeah, I know he won the Masters when he was making everything, but those putts that he barely missed coming down the stretch and in these later season tournaments and stuff, this is just something that I think is gonna, we may have seen the peak Scheffler with the putting, but I think mediocre Scheffler putting is just, I don't think it's that good.
Here's a question for you, Johnny. Who's a better putter, Scheffler or Zalatoris?
I think Zalatoris is by far. I think Zalatoris understands. I mean, technique wise, not even close. But
I got you.
But I mean, Will Zalatoris he owns his golf swing. He owns his putting. Just his entire thing. He is as confident as can be, and it is, it's one of the more terrifying things to watch in all of sport. But I actually feel like with the U.S. Open, I figured he was going to win that because I felt more comfortable about him looping that putter in and out and hitting it off the heel and making putts than Matt Fitzpatrick was at that point. So, I would take Zalatoris all day over on the greens, but just the Scheffler thing, and I hope I'm wrong because I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to consistently compete for major championships. But I just saw we saw the peak, and I think we're seeing the valley when he switched putters, and it was back to kind of where he was, like I said, 2 years ago.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, you see guys get on runs like that once in a while where they win 3 or 4 times in a 10 event, 15 event stretch like Scheffler did. I mean, it's crazy to say, but he might not play like that well another stretch in his entire career and win that much.
Yeah.
But I think he could still win, though. I think he could
For
still
sure.
win with his B+ putting game. It's just B+ is what he needs, and whether he's going to have that ever again, or whether it's going to be a C-, type thing.
And if there's an event that plays tougher, where it might be the U.S. Open, like a traditionally around par, or whatever, where you got to get the ball up and down, like that impressed me this season more than anything was his short game. I was pretty confident if he missed a green, he was going to make par.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get into one of these majors where it plays really hard and par's at premium, got to get the ball up and down a lot. Scheffler might be your guy. Kind of picked apart Dave's pick there. Sorry, Dave.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate it.
This is good. This is good.
I don't
listening
totally
here.
agree, but I like it.
All right, so I got the 6th and 7th pick, and I got to be honest, I figured one of the guys that I'm looking at would be off the board. I guess I'm gonna break the seal and take the first live guy, and I guess it's gonna be Cameron Smith. I'm a little surprised he got back to me. I thought Dave would take him at 5. Zach Lear is gonna be so happy with me because I balanced out. He's got this thing against Rory, so he's probably pissed I took him at 1, but he's gonna be happy that I got Cam Smith because that's his guy. I do have some concerns about Cam Smith playing live, and Johnny and I have talked about it. I don't know if it's a thing, but just the competitive nature of that tour compared to the PGA Tour, I have some concerns about the level of play for those guys coming into a major championship. Is it real? I don't know yet. I mean, maybe we'll see more of that play out in 2023. And if Cam Smith wins a major, Dustin Johnson wins a major, maybe it's not like we thought it could be. But he's the best player in the world right now. He's insanely confident. If you have, I had the bet on Rory to win the Open, and it just felt like it was destiny. And then Cam Smith got over every putt on the back 9, and I knew he was going to make it, and it was terrifying to watch and to be up against that. His iron play has improved, tremendously over the last 2-3 years, and he drives it long enough now. So he gets a little wild off the tee, he gets that hook going. But I don't really see any reason Cam Smith can't win another major in 23. He plays Augusta incredibly well. So Cam Smith at 6, I feel like is kind of a steal. 3rd ranked player in the world, just came off a win in Australia. Pick number 7. This is where I feel like a lot of guys in play here, big decision to make. I kind of can't believe I'm doing it, but I'm going to go with Tony Finau. I think he's reached this level of confidence. Now with 3 wins in his last 10 starts, something like that. I thought for a long time he was unlucky, 3-4 years of just not winning and being in contention continuously. Finally, that is starting to even out. I think the next step in that is, he's been in contention in majors, but I just don't see any weaknesses in his game right now. His putting has really improved. That was probably the one area where you just never felt a lot of trust in Finau, but his driving is great. His iron game is good enough. He hits a ton of greens. I just feel like he's got the right calm mindset for major tournament golf. So I'm pretty happy to get Cam Smith and Tony Finau at 6 and 7.
Yeah. So if you had the choice of JT or Cam Smith, what would you have picked? Would you go on Cam?
From a rooting interest, I'd pick JT.
No. For this
But
game.
I think
For this game.
I'd probably pick Cam Smith.
That was my choice. That was my two was JT or if it was
Yeah.
going to be Cam. And let me add that I don't usually like, just the uncertainty with the live guys with just how much they're playing and how much competitive golf that they're playing. Cam would not have factored into that because I just think right now he's absolutely too good. And
Yep.
I think the putting is going to cool off, but he's just a good putter. So his bad putting weeks or whatever it's going to be won't be just off the charts bad, where he's going to miss a cut at a golf tournament or anything like that. So he's always been a good putter and has just stepped it up. And excuse me, that's just kind of who he is there. So I actually like that pick. He, like I said, he's probably right now the only live guy, and I could see him, carrying this over and then getting those reps. You made a good point though, that they're not getting the true like competition down the stretch for these, because they play the shotgun start format. So it's a lot different, but
Well, it's because it's an exhibition, but yeah.
I was not going to be
I'll
that.
save that for another time.
I wasn't going to be that mean because it was just like we're going to have to tackle that later. But no, the Finau pick though, that was interesting. I debated on if he was still available, but I think he's kind of done the thing what Scheffler is. He just had to learn how to win, and now that he's got that confidence there, and I mean he's physically could be the most gifted and talented person on the PGA Tour and everything like that, and he's just figured out a way to round out his game and make hit good shots and make good putts when he needs to.
Yeah, and I know the tournaments he has won aren't the best fields, but that's okay. I think learning to win, even at his age, 34, 35, it's he's got plenty of time to bag one of these, two of these. His major record is fine, and I want to go back to Cam Smith just for 1 second. We talked about his putting. It's usually good, but to me, what was telling during the PGA at Southern Hills is he was one of the worst putters that week, and he made nothing, and he still finished 13th, which I think really kind of displayed how far his ball striking has come. Because old Cam Smith was, man, that guy was going to have to. It was going to have to be like 2015 Jordan Spieth and pull a rabbit out of the hat with his putter just to be in contention, because he just hit it off the map, and now his ball striking has improved so much. So I just think he's a complete player. Dave, pick number 8.
Yep. Real quick, just going back to your Cam Smith, Tony Finau.
Yeah.
Tony Finau's ranked 10th last year, strokes gains overall. Cam Smith 11th. So,
oh wow,
good.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty good there though. Man, this one's it's a little tough. I'm not afraid to pick live guys because I don't necessarily agree with the whole exhibition thing and all that.
I know you don't.
Fair enough. That's all good. And I still might. But right now, actually, I got to go with Patrick Cantlay. Another great putter and a really good ball striker. So yeah, I just think a couple of the courses set up pretty well for him. I know he had a good run at the Masters the last couple of years as well. So yeah, I'm gonna try to ride his hot putter. Hope he gets it going at one of the right 4 times.
No concerns with his major record. That's a question.
Well, obviously yes, but
And why? He's so
why
good.
am I concerned or why?
No, I mean,
No.
why is
Why
his
does
major
it
record
suck?
not good? Why does he suck in majors?
That's a really, really good question, and I don't have an answer. I would think you would need to be a psychologist potentially to answer that question, because and it's kind of like Johnny said, you kind of get on a run And man, he'll win 2 or 3 in a row. I mean, what was it, early last year or late the year before? He made everything he looked at from 15 foot and in.
That
2 or
was the
3 straight
playoffs.
tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems to have cooled a little bit, but he's just really consistent in a lot of areas. So
Yeah.
that's all.
I-
I mean, I don't. He's
Yeah,
not
I love his
great
golf
at
game.
anything unless his putter takes off again. But yeah,
I mean, I love his golf game. You know, just since he was a good player in college at UCLA, and
Yep.
you know, had that run there where he made the top 30 without winning an event,
Mhm.
and it just seems like though, like I know Phil and I would bet him quite a bit in the major championships and just get nothing out of him, and it was just so inexplicable on why he wasn't why he can't contend in these things. But hopefully he will. I mean, that's what I'd love to see him up there, and because I like his game and everything like that. It's just not been there, you know.
And I agree. And he's too good overall to not be able to contend.
Yeah, maybe this is the year. I mean, at some point, you know, you just kind of get used to it, and you know, the preparation changes just a little bit, and you know, and then you start strong and contending them. But he's almost too good. I mean, top number 4 in the world, and really hasn't done much at all in major championship.
Agreed.
Yep. All right, Johnny, you got 9 and 10.
And 9 and 10. Okay,
And it's your last 2 picks. Make them count.
so I'm going to go with for sure here, Colin Morikawa, who was not good last year, and he admitted he wasn't very good. I think he's going to be, you know, he seems to me like a guy who is very motivated and figures out ways to, you know, to motivate himself and figures out a way to make himself better. Whether it's, you know, and it's been documented that he changes putters a lot. He's kind of, you know, adjusted his irons a little bit, but I think that he's too good of a golfer to have as bad of a year as he did last year. And I think he's, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of motivation. I mean, I could sit here and say, well, he got married a couple days ago, so you know, he's got that out of the way. He doesn't have to worry about.
He's done then.
That's true. He could be just absolutely done. And then, you know, then has the kid, and then he's going to get the perspective and everything. So, I mean, it'll go full circle here at some point. But no, I just, you know, his game generally translates anywhere, and it's just whether he can get that putter, you know, peaking at the right time. And you know, it's the name of the game. It seems like for a lot of these guys, and I've talked about putting with just about every single one of them, but that ends up being what it is. But you know, when he middle of the summer was at US Open, he didn't know whether he was hitting a fade or hitting a draw. And when you don't know which way the ball's curving, you're not going to win a Corn Ferry event. You're not going to win you know, a Hooters Tour event. You're just not going to, you know, you're not going to compete. But
and he was 36 hole leader at the US Open.
Yes, he was. Yeah,
because while that was happening,
because he figured out kind of how to hit a fade, and then he kind of lost that after Friday, and then fell at the face of the earth.
I mean, he had a 5th at the Masters this year and a 5th at the US Open, and that was a bad year.
He finished 5th.
Horrible year, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's where we're at with him, though. I mean, he didn't win. He didn't win on the tour, did he? No, he didn't have a win. So
not regular, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely a down year for him, but that's just where we're at with these guys. I mean, we're talking about a 25-year-old 2-time major winner, and now his expectations are I've got to win once or twice, compete in the majors, and but yeah, I mean, Morikawa, I think he's the perfect major player because when his irons are on, he's maybe the best iron player on tour. Him, Zalatoris, JT, whatever you want to say. But man, when he has those peak weeks with the putter, he's almost unbeatable. I mean, he's like statistically a 0 putter, maybe just below 0 for the year, but he has those peak weeks where, man, he makes all the 8 to 12 footers, and he's usually done it in the biggest tournaments.
Yep, and that's what I go off of here, and I expect to bounce back, you know, from only 2 top 5 finishes in major championships, but you know, we'll talk about him probably when we do like a PGA Tour preview, and I'm sure we'll predict if he has any wins this coming year. So I've got my last pick here.
Yeah, last pick.
Literally don't know who I could pick.
I have your pick written down. I'm just going to wait and see if you do it.
Okay, let's see here. I am going to go with. I'm going to go with Cameron Young.
That is not who I wrote down. Good pick, though.
Top 20 in the world now. Hasn't won yet,
Yeah.
but I
It's
mean,
imminent.
it is. And he seems to be just every week he can seem to bring it. I know late last season, maybe he was gassed or something like that. And I think, we expected some higher finishes from him and whatnot, but by the end of the season, it was just kind of some okay play. But, he started the season so well and almost won at Riv and played just really good week after week after week after week. And he's one of those guys that I think is gonna bust out, and I think he'll win on the PGA Tour this year. I don't expect him to win a major, but you just look at how well can he finish on those major championships. And again, I like the guys. He hits it a mile, so he fits that, checks that box, and he is a good iron player. And I think he just kind of sticks around and plays tough golf courses really well, and that's a good. A good formula there. And the PGA Tour thing, to be good on the PGA Tour, you kind of want to be two things. You want to hit it long, and you want to make putts. And when he's putting well, which happened quite a bit last year, you get those high finishes. And I think the irons are good, but I just love his game all around. And I expect some top 10, top 20 finishes this year in the major championships.
Maybe one of the three best drivers on tour. I put him up there with Rory and maybe Finau or maybe Rahm as well. He got a home game this year up in New York. We know he's from the streets of New York.
The Bronx, growing up on the streets of the Bronx.
That's right. Yeah, no, I like Cam Young. Interesting though that he is the lowest ranked player to be picked yet at 18. Dave, your last pick at number 11. A lot of guys out there still.
Go live golf, DJ.
Oh wow. I was wondering if someone would take a shot at DJ.
Yeah, I'm kind of like
the 38th best player in the world, Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I'm a little leery, to be honest with you, and maybe I missed something, but the Masters hasn't yet come out and said, yes, we're going to allow them. The US Open hasn't come out and said, yes, they're going to allow them. Again, unless I'm missing something. So correct me if I'm wrong. The PGA Championship, I don't think they're going to let them play. I could be wrong. Now that the Open Championship has already said, yeah, we're not. If they're qualified, they're playing. I get that. So my only big fear is if they're even really going to let them play. That's my biggest thing for this year. But if they do, DJ's still one of the top 10 players in the world. So,
do you think he wins another major just in his career?
Yes, I do. Yeah, at least one more, maybe 2 or 3, as long as he continues to care for another 10 years.
Johnny is vehemently shaking.
God, I hope I'm wrong. He is. I don't root for many guys since Tiger. Like, there's no like guys I root for. Dustin Johnson is like the only one that I've ever rooted for. Yep. And I think he's just kind of he's competitive, that he'll want to play well and make money on live, and I'm sure he wants to play well and everything like that on the major championships and everything. But about 40 years old, and he's kind of hit that point where it's just like, I think he's just kind of cool with, just like I've just said before, being a golf dad, just taking the kids to school and picking them up and taking them to practice and doing the tournaments, the junior tournaments and stuff like that. I just think he's just kind of good with that. I hope I'm wrong, because like I said, he's kind of my modern day favorite player, and has been since for 10 plus years here. But it's just he had some good live events, but I don't know. I just the preparation and everything like that needed to win a major championship, I think is just more than what I think he would want to commit on a on a monthly or whatever it is basis.
Yeah, and I don't totally disagree with that. Honestly, it was either going to be him or Victor Hovland. I might have should have went with youth. But I still think that when he's into it and when he prepares, he's still one of the best players in the world. Now, my concern with all the big money he's now going to have with Live and what have you, is he still going to have that desire to prove people wrong? With all the bad mouth that everybody's getting, oh, the best players aren't with Live and blah, 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 which take it however you want. I get it. That's fine. But if he's into it, both mentally and spends the time physically, he's still one of the best. So it's a gamble. I get it.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily predict him to win, but if we're talking about in this competition about high finishes, I think absolutely. I think he still hits it as far as anybody. And when he putts well, he's actually a really, really good putter. And, he's got that total game and everything. So I but I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see him ever winning, but yeah, I mean, I still think there is some pride in finishing up in these major championships. I think he's got more pride than what he at that stuff than what he actually lets on. I mean, he is a guy who's comfortable with his decisions. He's comfortable in his own skin and everything like that. But I think he is driven secretly more than what we all think, even at this age.
So.
Yeah.
Interesting to me, of all the guys that went to Live, DJ, I think most people's opinion of him hasn't really changed. He said most of the right things when he went. He didn't say anything necessarily negative about the tour. We all know DJ well enough to know he loves money. He wants to be on a boat with Paulina. So I don't think any one of us were like, I mean, I think we're disappointed because I think all of us are DJ fans. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of them out there. I'm fascinated to see his major record was decent last year. He had a 12th, a 24th, and a 6th, and a missed cut, but 6 at the Open. I don't know about you guys. I'm obsessed with looking at Wikipedia, the major championship table, and seeing how many yellow boxes. The yellow box is the top 10, and a green box is the win. Dustin Johnson, to me, is one of the more interesting studies of major championships. The run he had from 2015 to 2020, a lot of yellow boxes and a big what if. I mean, what if, Chambers Bay goes differently like it should have. He gets a win there. Shinnecock in 2018 when he's the 54-hole leader, loses that one. Runner up to Tiger in 2019 at the Masters. Runner up to Brooks again at Bethpage in 2019 when he made the late run. Runner up to Morikawa in 2020. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs in that 5-6 year run when he was arguably maybe the best major player outside of Brooks Koepka.
Whistling Straits.
Whistling Straits going back to 2011. So, I mean, gosh, we're talking about a guy that probably should be 4-time, 5-time major winner at this point. So I'm with you, Dave. I hope he gets one. Moving on to the final pick. I can't believe I had this many guys available to me because I didn't expect DJ to go. I didn't really expect Cam Young to go as well.
Just ripping our picks.
No, I'm just surprised. I mean, I love Cam Young, I love DJ, but I didn't expect them to go here in this 12-player draft. So this will make the other Zach Fitzgerald, frequent guest, happy that I'm going to take Xander Schauffele, 6th ranked player in the world. I don't feel great about him winning, but I do feel like he's very, very close. He actually won last year and he won a lot. And he got in that stretch where he won back-to-back, right? He won the Scottish Open and he won Travelers. I mean, that's I don't want to say it's an elevated PGA Tour event, but it's damn close now. Actually, it might be on the new schedule.
One of the more favorite ones for sure.
And and the Scottish was that was a big boy win. I think he's going to be there in a couple. And I mean, dude's 6th ranked player in the world. He's just really good at golf. I don't like watching him play golf at all.
It's kind of boring.
I just something about him. I just don't like watching him play golf at all.
That's actually who I had down for Johnny to pick, and when he picked Cam Young.
I'll root for him at the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup, but I there's just something about Xander that I don't know what it is. I don't enjoy watching him play. Like I enjoy watching Will Zalatoris play golf for some reason, but Schauffele, I don't know what it is, but I gotta take him here with my 4th pick. It just makes sense that I feel like he's gonna have at least a couple solid finishes. A lot of guys left on the table here, not drafted in this small 12-player draft. Dave mentioned him, Victor Hovland, a major winner from last year, Matt Fitzpatrick, who really elevated his game in 2022. Sam Burns, one of my favorites. Jordan Spieth goes undrafted.
I was going to pick him.
I was too.
He had a tough season last year overall, outside of that one win at RBC.
Yep.
Who else? Tom Kim, new rising star. I thought maybe someone might pick him.
Jung Young Kim won twice too.
Yeah. I don't know who else. Max didn't get drafted, but he just seems like he's not quite at the tier of these guys. Some of these guys yet.
Sanjay M.
Sanjay is, man, he's so good. Such a good ball striker. I mean, and again, you could go in the top 30 in the rankings, top 40, and no one would shock you if they won one of these majors. And how the hell is Brian Harman the 24th ranked player in the world? Is that real?
Yeah, it is.
Huh.
No.
Who's
20?
Let me ask you guys, who's someone not in the top 50, or maybe a young up and comer that you feel like might surprise some people next year at a major, have a chance to win one? Maybe it's a guy that hasn't competed in a lot, say maybe like a Davis Riley, or maybe it's someone just lower in the rankings who's trying to make a comeback.
One guy I like Cam Davis. I'm a big fan of his game. Showed it at the President's Cup.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's won. What has he won once already on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, Detroit.
Once in Detroit. So, I think he's just one of those. I kind of think he's one of the next Australian players that's going to make an impact in these major championships. Whether over under a half major, I would obviously take the under, but I mean, if to finish top, let's say top 20 in one of the major championships,
Yeah.
I see that. I mean, he's little inconsistent with the putter, and sometimes I think he gets a little crooked with the driver, but he hits it far, and he's a good iron player. So him and I like Robert McIntyre. I know he's kind of a name, especially if you watch the DP World Tour. Doesn't seem to play too much here in the United States, so we'll see. But he's one of those guys that I think he's just gonna get better each year. The more he plays in the DP World Tour, and he'll play in the major championships, and whether they're the WGCs or elevated, whatever it is, I'm sure he'll get PGA Tour membership within the next couple of years and playing a lot of that stuff. But he just kind of plods himself along there and doesn't really look like he's this he doesn't look like a DJ out there hitting these bomb drives and these towering iron shots, but he just gets the ball in the hole and but those are the two, I guess, if you outside the top 50 that just popped out at me.
You say outside of the top 50? I was going to go with Max Homa, number 1. I think he's a young kid that's due to break out a little bit.
Isn't he like 31?
Yes, actually, I'm just kind of looking through here right now. Yeah, so he's close to 50.
I,
I
I,
mean,
I got a
other-
guy that's he's inside the top 50, but
Mhm.
I feel like number one, he's going to make the Ryder Cup team. Number two,
Ooh.
he's going to win an event next year, and number three, he's going to contend in the
He-
major.
And he's gonna win
I
you.
know where
And he's
you're
gonna win
going.
you a first round lead. He's gonna win you one this time.
Yeah, he's a popular first round leader, but Aaron Wise.
Oh, Aaron Wise.
Aaron Wise.
I thought you were gonna go with Sahith.
That's who I was looking at, Johnny.
Okay, I like him too. I think
Well, that's kind of
something.
a given though. Sahith, I think
Yeah.
I think we can
Fit.
kind of collectively agree that
Yeah.
he's gonna be really good. I think, but Aaron Wise.
I think if you look at Aaron Wise's, if you don't look at strokes gained, Dave, if you're looking at that right now, Aaron Wise, I don't know where he finished, but man, that guy is.
I got the
ball
top
striker.
20. Let me look.
I'd be shocked if he wasn't in the top 20 in 2022.
That's what I'm looking
Like I
at.
said, I think he's going to be on the Ryder Cup team next year.
Wow, Ryder Cup team.
Aaron Wise is not in the top 20 from 2022. He might have been just out of it, but I only got the top 20.
Okay, that's fair.
Quick question. We went with kind of a young guy. Who's somebody that has won a major in the past that maybe kind of has fallen off that might contend again? Any thoughts?
It's a good one.
Because honestly, that's where I put Spieth. He had a better year this last year than the previous 2 or 3. So, I do see positives trending in his game, but as I was flipping through the golf world rankings, I saw, Louis Oosthuizen still somehow in the top 50. Justin Rose is out of the top 50, but just another name, so that's kind of what prefaced my question.
It's a good question. And by the way, yeah, those guys are done. Justin Rose is done.
Fair enough.
Stick a fork in him. And Louis is so done.
Louis, I agree with because he's quite a bit older. Justin's not that old. I'm not sure I would jump on that bandwagon yet.
I'll place like a 10-year bet with you, Dave, that Justin Rose not going to win another major.
Ooh. First of all, I won't remember 10 years. Phil.
I'll write it. I will remember for us. What about? I'll let Johnny field this one. Is Brooks done as a major player?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's my thought too.
Yeah, you know how we used to say a year ago when we started this podcast, don't ever fade Brooks in a major championship.
Opposite now.
Are you fading Brooks?
Fade Brooks. That guy has less motivation than he's probably anybody of joining Live. He's just taking vacations everywhere, and he's done.
Yeah, that is a good question, Dave. I don't know, because I feel like a lot of the former major winners went to Live.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's what you got to look at. You got to look at that Live, and if that because that's
Reed, Bryson. I don't know.
See, and do you think Bryson's done majors?
No.
I don't.
He lost a bunch of that muscle mass in the last couple months.
He's actually slimming back down. Yeah.
So he's not stupid like he was, being muscle bound. So
was it? Wait, I'm gonna go back. Was it stupid though? Because he won a major.
Won him a U.S. Open.
I argue.
You're right.
He should have won Torrey Pines. Still,
yeah, he should have won Torrey Pines. Yeah,
he was leader after the 63rd hole. So his strategy was working.
You know what? To win a major championship, I don't blame him. Yeah, you're right.
But I think
maintain year after year success. To maintain that bulk is obviously it's tough for a lot of people, and obviously he struggled with it here with some injuries and everything. And I think he just kind of realized that, and maybe I think he's going to be the type that's going to kind of be a hybrid of the two. He's going to hit it far, not as far. He's not going to be as big, so he's going to maybe get a little bit leaner, and he'll figure out a middle. The guy's too smart. It's just whether he can kind of get out of his own way, but he'll figure out something that's in the middle. And again, with the live guys, it's just whether it's the right kind of competition to, to compete in a major championship. But he would be the guy because he's got, age on his side, and I think he's married to the game of golf. I mean, he's not interested in much else other than, just playing golf and
Right.
stuff. So I think he'd kind of rededicate himself to figuring out a way to have the right type of body, have the right type of swing, and the right type of game to win again.
Dave, to answer your question, I'm going to cheat and I'll use your guy. I mean, DJ would be the answer for me. I mean, past major winner that I think I could just see him showing up at, I don't know, LA Country Club, and he's on that week with the driver and he gets that putter going, and it's like 2019, 2020 DJ. I mean,
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me.
I
I mean, if you're asking me to pick one of these guys, who am I going to pick? Danny Willett over that, or Gary Woodland? I mean, those
Right.
guys are done.
yeah. Here's your over under half a major, Ricky Fowler.
Oh God, this is so under, Dave.
Just nuke the under.
Listen,
Nuke the
I
under.
Hope he wins
had-
one this year.
I had a win bet on Ricky when he almost won in wherever that tournament was like a month ago.
Yeah.
Over, it was in Japan. I don't remember.
Yep.
And then I knew he'd break my heart, and freaking Keegan Bradley is the one that did it. So
And Bradley out of everybody.
Keegan, damn it. No, Ricky. I think Ricky's going to have a good year for Ricky's standards, new standards, but he's not winning a major. No way.
Okay. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I like stirring the shit.
I like you stirring the shit. I like it. What else? Any other thoughts, Johnny?
Nope. I'm good.
What about Hideki?
Too injury prone. I hope he gets healthy, because I think he's one of the better players in the world. But just with is it a back injury? He's got like two different injuries, two different significant ones. I think one of them is a back, and as you know, that's a tough one to recover from, because it decides if it wants to flare up. So I don't know if it's something that's long term or not. But I mean, if he can get healthy for a year, then he can absolutely win another major championship.
David.
Yeah, that's the one thing that scares me too, though. Even with my Will Zalatoris pick, he's had a wrist injury. I mean,
And a back. I mean, the back.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think he's still young enough and hopefully got everything taken care of soon enough that it's not going to be a lingering issue. But especially you get to US Open or somewhere like that, you're hitting out some of that rough. You can make a normal swing and all of a sudden you're done. I mean, so
Yeah.
Those are the things and same thing with if we talk about DeChambeau, all the different little injuries and hand injuries and everything that he's had. So
Yeah. Dave, I want to recant a little bit and go back to your major winner that hasn't won in a while or is older, Adam Scott.
fair enough.
Adam Scott.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I think he's staying on the PGA Tour is because he wants to play in the majors, and for sure play in the majors with the unknown in the future with live players. Because I think he wants one more major.
Did you see Stevie Williams is coming out of retirement to caddy for him in all 4 majors?
What?
Oh, is
Yep.
that right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Him and his regular caddy are going to be during the regular season, but they've already worked out something where Stevie's caddying for him in all 4 majors.
I just think he hits the ball still perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The putter was actually
Hasn't it always come down to putting for him though?
Yeah,
Realistically,
but I think the putter was pretty good last year.
yeah, I agree.
It's horrible
I
to
agree.
watch, but
Yeah,
again, could I see it? It's can I see a path? Can I see him showing up at Royal Liverpool wearing 18 different shades of tan?
He would dry day, he'd blend in with the ground, man.
And
stop
winning,
it. He
yes.
might throw some gray in there.
So that's I do think that's a veteran to keep your eye on the next year or two in the major.
Fair enough. Okay, real quick, and I know it's going on. Why do you think he's got more time in game than Justin Rose? They're similar age-ish. Rose is probably a little younger. Just curious.
It's a great question. Maybe my personal bias comes in.
I-
Oh, that's
I-
fair.
I think, and I don't know the statistics, you know, or anything like that, but from just the eye test of the last, let's say 3 years,
Yeah,
Adam Scott's ball striking
I think that's
is
it.
elite. I mean,
Yeah,
Scott's ball striking is up there with top 15 on the PGA Tour, and Justin Rose is just top 70. You know,
and Rose has really been more dependent on the putter the last couple of
Yeah.
years. Remember the
Yeah.
U.S. Open again when he would contend with Woodland 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Yeah.
making everything.
Well,
Yeah.
and you talk about switching putters. He does that almost weekly.
No, it's a good point.
I'm not saying one way or another. Jay Rose was one of the best in the world. And to think that at his age, he can't get back up to in contention at some point, I think's just a little bit of a stretch.
yeah, I think
Oh,
he could
fair
pull.
point.
I think he could do what an Adam Scott is doing now, and I mean, he still has a couple more years. He's physically fit. You know, he's not like he's had any real significant injuries, so there's not a lot of
Right,
additional wear and tear on the body.
right.
It's just whatever he's trying to find in the last. It's been now what 3-4
3
seasons
years.
now
Yeah. Well,
that
I
he
mean,
hasn't been able to
It's
find it.
ever since he went to Hanma.
that's just what I was getting ready to say. It's
Yeah.
ever since he switched to Hanma. And I know that only lasted a month maybe, but it's like his swing just literally just gone.
Yeah.
I don't
Never recovered.
totally understand
Never
it. Yeah,
recovered.
exactly.
I mean, and he switched as the number one player in the world and
Yeah, right.
fell off
Man.
after that. By the way, they're both 42 years old.
Okay. I knew they were close. I didn't realize
Yeah.
how much. But yeah.
Exactly the same. All right, boys. Johnny Strouser, Dave Belleville. We broke down the 2023 major season. We drafted guys. We'll track that as we go along into the 2023 PGA Tour season. Appreciate you guys being here, going through the exercise. It was fun.
Yep, month away. Can't
Thank
wait.
you so much. Yep.
All right, guys, your best bet on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as well. Check out our videos if you enjoy watching our podcasts and seeing our lovely faces on your screen. So keep listening. We've got more shows coming before the end of the season. Enjoy the holiday season coming up, everyone. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.